What if the most terrifying evil doesn't hide in the darkness, but stares back at you with a stitched smile, disguised as something meant to comfort? Tonight, we peel back the layers of one of the world's most disturbing legends, the true story of the Annabelle doll. Forget everything you think you know from the movies. The real Annabelle isn't porcelain, cracked, or menacing. She's soft, faded, and innocent, precisely the kind of toy you'd trust in a child's arms. And that's what makes her story so horrifying. A vessel for something unspeakable, evil lurking behind a mask of innocence, waiting to be invited in. As you watch, ask yourself, could an ordinary doll become a conduit for darkness so powerful it leaves grown men paralyzed in terror, scars that can't be explained, and a trail of dread that refuses to fade? The truth behind Annabelle's legend is far more chilling than fiction. A story of real people haunted, homes invaded by fear, and a force that even seasoned investigators warned could be deadly if left unchecked. Most viewers of this channel aren't subscribed. Don't let yourself miss the next revelation hiding in the shadows. Hit that subscribe button now and join a community that dares to explore the world's darkest mysteries and true stories that will haunt your thoughts long after the screen goes dark. Stay with us until the end. What you're about to discover will make you question the line between comfort and horror, and may change the way you look at the most innocent things forever. When I first heard about the real Annabelle doll, I expected a porcelain face, cracked and menacing, just like in the movies. But the truth is far more unsettling. The actual Annabelle is a soft, raggedy doll with faded red yarn hair and a stitched smile that never changes. She looks harmless, almost inviting, the kind of toy you'd find forgotten in an old attic. That's what makes her story so disturbing. Evil hiding behind innocence, horror disguised as something meant to comfort. Back in the early 1970s, Donna, a nursing student in Connecticut, received Annabelle as a birthday gift from her mother. She brought the doll into the apartment she shared with her roommate, Angie. At first, Annabelle was just a quirky decoration sitting on the bed. But soon, little things started to happen. Donna and Angie would leave the room, only to return and find the doll in a different position. Sometimes Annabelle's arms would be crossed, or her legs would be folded in a way neither of them remembered. It was subtle at first, easy to dismiss as forgetfulness or a prank. But the sense of unease grew, settling into the apartment like a cold draft that never left. The odd movements of Annabelle quickly escalated from minor disturbances to something that felt intentional. One afternoon, Donna found the doll sitting upright on the couch, legs crossed neatly, with a slip of parchment paper on her lap. The words, "Help me," were scrawled in shaky handwriting. Neither Donna nor Angie kept parchment paper in the apartment, and the message felt like a warning rather than a plea. The air in the room seemed heavier, as if the walls themselves were closing in. Each new note left them more anxious, and the sense that something was watching grew stronger every day. Things took a darker turn when their friend Lou started experiencing terrifying encounters. Lou never liked Annabelle, claiming he felt uneasy whenever he was near the doll. One night, he woke from a nightmare, paralyzed, with Annabelle staring at him from the foot of the bed. He couldn't move or speak, feeling an invisible pressure on his chest, as if something was trying to suffocate him. When he finally broke free, cold sweat soaking his shirt, he found deep scratches across his chest the next morning, marks he couldn't explain. That was the breaking point. Donna and Angie realized they were dealing with something far more sinister than a simple haunting. Desperate for answers, Donna and Angie reached out to a local medium, hoping to make sense of what was happening in their apartment. The seance took place in their living room, the air thick with anxiety and the faint scent of candle wax. The medium claimed to have contacted the spirit of a young girl named Annabelle Higgins, who said she had died on the property years before. According to the medium, Annabelle's spirit felt safe with Donna and Angie, longing for their companionship and asking for permission to stay within the doll. Moved by the story, the two women agreed, believing they were helping a lost child find peace. But that decision only made things worse. After giving their consent, the disturbances intensified. The doll's movements became more frequent and unpredictable. Objects in the apartment would shift or fall without explanation, and cold spots would appear in rooms that had always felt warm and inviting. Donna and Angie started hearing faint whispers at night, words they couldn't quite make out, but always coming from the direction of Annabelle. The feeling of being watched became constant, turning their home into a place of dread. They realized too late that what they had invited in was not the spirit of a harmless child, but something far more menacing. With their nerves frayed and no answers in sight, Donna and Angie finally reached out to Ed and Lorraine Warren, well-known paranormal investigators at the time. The Warrens arrived at the apartment, bringing with them an air of calm, authority that contrasted sharply with the tension that had settled over the place. After listening to the women's experiences and examining the doll, the Warrens gave a chilling explanation. They insisted that Annabelle was not inhabited by the spirit of a child, but was instead being manipulated by a demonic presence. According to the Warrens, the entity's goal was to eventually possess a human host, using the doll as a conduit to gain sympathy and permission to enter the apartment. The warning was clear. If the situation continued unchecked, the consequences could be severe, even deadly. The Warrens recommended an immediate exorcism of the apartment, and a priest named Father Cook was called in to perform the ritual. The ceremony was tense, the atmosphere thick with anticipation and fear. Once the exorcism was complete, Ed and Lorraine agreed to take Annabelle with them for safekeeping. They placed the doll in the back seat of their car, but even the journey to their home was fraught with danger. The car swerved and stalled inexplicably until Ed sprinkled holy water on Annabelle, after which the disturbances stopped. The sense of relief was palpable, but the fear lingered, knowing that the real Annabelle doll was now part of the Warrens' infamous occult museum, a place where supposedly haunted and cursed objects were kept locked away from the world. Today, the real Annabelle doll remains locked away in a glass case at the Warren Occult Museum in Monroe, Connecticut. Bold sign warns visitors, "Do not touch." According to the museum's caretakers, those who ignored this rule have suffered strange accidents after leaving, fueling the legend even further. After the deaths of Ed and Lorraine Warren, their son-in-law Tony Spera took over the museum, ensuring Annabelle stays sealed and undisturbed. The collection includes many supposedly cursed objects, but none draw as much attention or fear as Annabelle. Even routine maintenance on her display is performed with ritual care, including the use of holy water to prevent any potential supernatural backlash. Despite the chilling stories, skepticism surrounds the Annabelle case. Critics argue that the Warrens were storytellers at best or frauds at worst, and that the museum is more a collection of oddities than proof of the paranormal. Scholars like Joseph Laycock have dismissed the legend as a fascinating blend of pop culture and folklore, pointing out that tales of haunted dolls predate Annabelle by decades. Still, whether one believes in the supernatural or not, the story of Annabelle continues to unsettle. The line between folklore, fear, and reality blurs each time someone stands before her glass prison, wondering what, if anything, waits behind that stitched smile. The legend of the real Annabelle doll has grown far beyond the walls of the Warren Occult Museum. After the release of The Conjuring in 2013 and the subsequent Annabelle movie franchise, the story took on a life of its own. Hollywood transformed the harmless-looking Raggedy Ann into a sinister porcelain figure, amplifying her presence in the public imagination. The films introduced new layers of cults, demonic rituals, and violent hauntings, diverging sharply from the original accounts. Yet, this cinematic reinvention only fueled the fascination with the true story, drawing crowds of curious visitors and horror fans to the museum, eager to see the infamous doll behind the glass. Despite the fictional embellishments, the real Annabelle remains a symbol of unease. Her stitched smile and faded yarn hair are a stark reminder that true horror doesn't always look the way we expect. The contrast between her innocent appearance and the chilling stories attached to her has cemented Annabelle's status as an icon of modern paranormal folklore. Whether skeptics dismiss her as a product of pop culture or believers insist on the authenticity of the events, Annabelle's story continues to blur the boundaries between myth and reality, leaving an unsettling mark on anyone who encounters her legend. The real Annabelle doll's story begins long before the headlines and movies. Unlike the porcelain-faced monster from the films, Annabelle is actually a Raggedy Ann doll, soft with red yarn hair and a stitched smile, designed to comfort children, not frighten them. Created in the early 1900s and inspired by a character from Johnny Gruelle's children's books, Raggedy Ann dolls became a staple in American homes. There was nothing sinister about her appearance. In fact, her friendly, innocent look is what makes the true story so disturbing. Evil, in this case, didn't come wrapped in something obviously terrifying. It hid behind a face meant to be loved. Donna, a 28-year-old nursing student in Hartford, Connecticut, received the doll as a birthday gift from her mother sometime around 1970. She brought Annabelle into the apartment she shared with her roommate Angie. At first, the doll was just a nostalgic decoration, a reminder of childhood. But soon, Donna and Angie started noticing strange things. Annabelle would be found in different positions or rooms, even though no one had touched her. Sometimes she'd be sitting upright on the couch, other times sprawled awkwardly on the floor. What started as subtle, almost dismissible oddities quickly escalated, making the apartment feel less like a home and more like a place where something was always just out of sight. As the days passed, the strange occurrences around Annabelle only intensified. Donna and Angie began to find scraps of parchment paper scattered throughout the apartment, each with messages like "help me" and "help us" written in shaky handwriting. What unsettled them most was that neither of them owned parchment paper, and they couldn't explain how it kept appearing. The sense of intrusion grew stronger, as if something unseen was moving freely through their home. Every new message made the atmosphere heavier, turning routine moments into constant reminders that they were not alone. Lou, a close friend who often stayed over, became the next target of Annabelle's presence. He'd always felt uneasy around the doll, but one night, his discomfort turned into terror. Lou woke from a nightmare, feeling paralyzed, and saw Annabelle staring at him from the foot of the bed. He described a crushing sensation on his chest, as if invisible hands were trying to strangle him. The next morning, Lou discovered deep, bloody scratches on his chest, marks he couldn't explain, and that matched no logical injury. This was the final straw. Donna and Angie realized they needed help, convinced that whatever was inside Annabelle was growing stronger and more dangerous. The fascination with the real Annabelle doll has only intensified over the decades, evolving from a local legend into a global phenomenon. In 2024, a replica of the Annabelle doll used in the movies was destroyed in a fire at the Warner House exhibition in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. The incident made headlines, not just for the loss of memorabilia, but for the eerie coincidence that seemed to echo the doll's reputation for bringing misfortune. The story quickly spread across social media, reigniting debates about whether objects like Annabelle can truly carry a curse, or if the fear is simply a product of our collective imagination. Even those who dismiss the supernatural can't help but feel a chill when faced with the idea of a harmless toy becoming a vessel for something dark and unexplainable. The true story of Annabelle remains a powerful reminder of how easily folklore and reality can blur. While skeptics point to the lack of concrete evidence and the theatrical nature of the Warren Occult Museum, believers insist that the doll's history is more than just a scary story. Whether Annabelle is genuinely haunted or simply a reflection of our deepest fears, her legend continues to grow, fueled by movies, documentaries, and countless retellings. The real Annabelle doll, still locked away in her glass case, stands as a silent witness to the enduring power of myth, proof that sometimes the scariest stories are the ones we keep telling ourselves. Living with Annabelle became a daily test of nerves for Donna and Angie. Simple routines like making coffee or getting ready for work were overshadowed by the constant anxiety that something was watching. Every creak of the floorboards or flicker of the light set them on edge. They started sleeping with their doors locked, but even that offered little comfort. The doll's presence seemed to seep into every corner of the apartment, making it impossible to escape the feeling of being observed. Friends stopped visiting as word spread about the strange happenings, leaving Donna and Angie isolated in their own home. The psychological toll was undeniable. Both women began to question their own memories, wondering if they were imagining things or if the fear itself was, making them see patterns where none existed. Yet, the physical evidence, the notes, the scratches on Lou, the inexplicable movements, kept piling up. The line between reality and paranoia blurred, making every day feel like a waking nightmare. The real Annabelle doll wasn't just a haunted object. She was a catalyst for doubt, dread, and a growing sense of helplessness that neither Donna nor Angie could shake. After Lou's terrifying encounter, Donna and Angie felt like their apartment had become a trap. The fear was constant. Doors creaked open on their own, cold spots lingered in the hallway, and the doll seemed to turn up in places they swore they hadn't left her. Desperate, they reached out to a local medium, hoping for answers. During a séance held in their living room, the medium claimed to contact the spirit of a 7-year-old girl named Annabelle Higgins. According to her, Annabelle's spirit wanted to stay with Donna and Angie, using the doll as a vessel. Moved by the story, the roommates gave their permission, believing they were helping a lost child. But instead of peace, the disturbances only escalated, and the apartment's atmosphere grew heavier by the day. When Ed and Lorraine Warren arrived, they brought a different perspective. The Warrens believed that the entity attached to Annabelle wasn't a child at all, but something far more sinister, a demonic force using the story to gain sympathy and access. They warned that the next step could be full possession, putting Donna and Angie's lives at risk. Acting quickly, the Warrens called in Father Cook to perform an exorcism on the apartment. The ritual was tense, with the sense that something was resisting every prayer. Afterward, the Warrens took Annabelle with them, but even the drive to their home was fraught with danger. Their car swerved and stalled until Ed sprinkled holy water on the doll, finally bringing the chaos to a stop. Annabelle was then locked away in a glass case at the Warren Occult Museum, with a sign warning, "Do not touch." Skepticism has always shadowed the story of the real Annabelle doll. While the Warrens' accounts fueled widespread fear and fascination, many critics and scholars have dismissed their claims as exaggerated or even fabricated. Articles in local newspapers questioned the authenticity of the events, and experts like Professor Joseph Laycock argued that the Annabelle legend is more a product of pop culture and folklore than genuine paranormal evidence. The Warren Occult Museum itself has been described by some as a collection of curiosities and junk rather than proof of supernatural forces. Yet, these doubts have done little to diminish the doll's infamy. If anything, the ongoing debate has only added another layer of intrigue, making Annabelle a symbol of the blurred line between belief and skepticism. Despite all the controversy, the legend of Annabelle has become deeply embedded in popular culture. The story inspired not only the opening scene of The Conjuring, but also an entire film franchise, transforming the simple Raggedy Ann into a global icon of horror. Replicas of the doll appear at conventions, in haunted house attractions, and even as Easter eggs in other movies. The destruction of a movie replica in a 2024 fire in Brazil made headlines, showing just how far the myth has spread. For many, the real Annabelle doll is more than just a relic locked in a glass case. It's a reminder of how fear can take root in the imagination, growing into something larger than any one story or object. Visitors to the Warren Occult Museum often arrive expecting to see the terrifying porcelain Annabelle from the movies. Instead, they're met with a simple Raggedy Ann doll, locked behind glass. Her yarn hair faded and her stitched smile unchanged. The contrast is jarring. There's nothing overtly menacing about her appearance, yet the room feels heavy, as if the stories themselves have left a residue in the air. Some visitors report feeling uneasy or even nauseous, while others dismiss the experience as nothing more than suggestion and hype. Still, the warning sign, "Do not touch," remains, a silent reminder of the consequences that have become part of the legend. The museum's atmosphere is thick with expectation. Every creak of the floorboards and flicker of the lights seems amplified, feeding into the tension. For some, standing in front of the real Annabelle doll is a moment of disbelief. How could something so ordinary inspire so much fear? Yet, as they turn away, many admit to glancing back, half expecting the doll to move. Whether the fear is real or imagined, the effect is undeniable. Annabelle's story lingers long after visitors leave, a quiet echo of the power that urban legends hold over the mind. Over the years, the legend of the real Annabelle doll has become inseparable from the fabric of urban folklore and modern horror. The story's transformation, from a little-known paranormal case in the 1970s to a global phenomenon, reflects how deeply it resonates with our collective fear of the unknown. Annabelle's presence in pop culture is undeniable. She's appeared in blockbuster films, inspired documentaries, and even made cameo appearances in unrelated movies, always as a symbol of something quietly menacing. The destruction of a movie replica in a fire at a Warner exhibition in Brazil in 2024 only added to her mystique, as if the legend itself refused to be contained by glass or distance. Despite decades of skepticism and debate, Annabelle's story endures because it taps into something primal, the anxiety that evil can hide behind innocence, that ordinary objects can become vessels for darkness. The real Annabelle doll, locked away in the Warren Occult Museum, is more than just a relic. She is a reminder of how stories can take on a life of their own, blurring the line between fact and fiction. Whether she's truly haunted or simply the subject of an elaborate hoax, Annabelle continues to haunt the imagination. Her stitched smile a silent challenge to anyone who dares to dismiss the power of belief. For those who have followed the real Annabelle doll's story, the fear doesn't always fade with distance. Some visitors to the Warren Occult Museum report nightmares or an uneasy feeling that lingers for days after seeing her. Even people who consider themselves skeptics admit to feeling unsettled by the doll's presence, as if the weight of so many dark stories has soaked into her fabric. The legend has become a kind of psychological test. How much do you believe, and how much does belief itself shape your experience? The line between suggestion and reality blurs, making Annabelle's story a mirror for our own anxieties about the unknown. Annabelle's true power lies in her ability to make us question what we know. She's not just a haunted doll locked in a glass case. She's a symbol of how fear can be passed from one person to another, growing with each retelling. Whether the events were real or imagined, the story taps into a universal dread that evil can hide in plain sight, and that the most ordinary objects can become vessels for our deepest fears. The real Annabelle doll remains silent, but her story continues to echo, leaving each new listener with a sense of unease that's hard to shake. The real Annabelle doll's legacy goes far beyond the walls of the Warren Occult Museum. She has become a symbol of the way fear can attach itself to the most innocent objects, transforming them into icons of unease. Decades after the original events, people still debate whether Annabelle's story is a true paranormal case or just a carefully crafted urban legend. Yet, the fascination endures. Each retelling, whether in a documentary, a news article, or a late-night conversation, adds another layer to the myth. The doll's stitched smile and faded fabric have become shorthand for the unknown, a reminder that some stories never truly die. They just change shape. Annabelle's impact on pop culture is undeniable. Her story inspired not only blockbuster movies, but also countless articles, podcasts, and online forums dedicated to haunted dolls and paranormal folklore. The destruction of a movie replica in a 2024 fire in Brazil only added to her legend, as if the myth itself refuses to fade. The real Annabelle doll remains locked away, untouched, her presence a quiet challenge to skeptics and believers alike. Whether she's a vessel for something dark or simply a reflection of our deepest fears, Annabelle's story continues to unsettle, reminding us that sometimes the scariest things are the ones we invite into our lives without realizing it. The real Annabelle doll's story has become a permanent fixture in the world of urban legends. Decades after the original events, her faded fabric and stitched smile are recognized far beyond the Warren Occult Museum, symbolizing the uneasy boundary between folklore and reality. For some, Annabelle is a cautionary tale about the dangers of believing too quickly in the supernatural. For others, she's a reminder that even the most innocent objects can become vessels for our deepest fears. The ongoing debates about the authenticity of the Warrens' accounts only add to the mystery. Whether the events were exaggerated, misunderstood, or entirely fabricated, the legend of Annabelle refuses to fade, growing with each new retelling. The fascination endures because Annabelle's story taps into something universal, our fear of the unknown and the possibility that evil can hide in plain sight. The transformation of her narrative from a quiet case of supposed possession in the 1970s to a global horror icon shows how stories can evolve, taking on new forms as they pass through generations. Locked away in her glass case, the real Annabelle doll is both a relic and a warning. She stands as proof that some legends persist not because they're proven true, but because they speak to the anxieties and curiosities that never truly leave us. The true story of the real Annabelle doll has become a benchmark for how urban legends take root and evolve. Even after more than 5 decades, her stitched smile and faded fabric are instantly recognizable to horror fans and skeptics alike. The fascination isn't just about whether the events truly happened, but about how the story taps into universal fears, the unknown, the idea of evil hiding in plain sight, and the unsettling thought that something meant to comfort could instead bring harm. Each new generation discovers Annabelle through documentaries, articles, or the chilling glass case at the Warren Occult Museum. And the legend grows, shaped by every retelling and every skeptic's challenge. Annabelle's transformation from a simple Raggedy Ann doll into a global symbol of supernatural dread shows how folklore, pop culture, and genuine psychological unease can blend. Whether seen as a cautionary tale, a paranormal case, or a clever piece of storytelling, the real Annabelle doll remains locked away, her presence a quiet dare to anyone who believes they are immune to fear. The line between superstition and reality is thin, and Annabelle's legend proves that sometimes the scariest stories are those that refuse to be forgotten. Stories that linger in the corners of our minds, waiting for the lights to go out. Annabelle's legend has reached far beyond the borders of the United States, becoming a global phenomenon. Her story is now told in dozens of languages, discussed in podcasts, and dissected in documentaries around the world. The destruction of a movie replica in a 2024 fire in Brazil only fueled the fascination, with news outlets and social media users speculating about curses and supernatural retribution. Even people who have never visited the Warren Occult Museum know her name, and the image of her stitched smile has become a universal symbol of something quietly sinister. The real Annabelle doll, locked away behind glass is now an object of pilgrimage for horror fans and skeptics alike, each visitor hoping to glimpse the boundary between myth and reality. The enduring appeal of the Annabelle legend lies in its ability to adapt and survive. Each new retelling adds a layer of detail, a fresh perspective, or a modern twist, keeping the story alive for new generations. Whether seen as a warning about the dangers of curiosity, a case study in mass hysteria, or simply a compelling ghost story, Annabelle's tale continues to unsettle. She is proof that folklore can be just as powerful as fact, and that sometimes the scariest stories are the ones we choose to believe. The real Annabelle doll remains silent, but her legend speaks louder every year, a chilling reminder that some fears never truly fade. The real Annabelle doll's story is a testament to how a simple object can become a vessel for our darkest fears. Locked away in her glass case at the Warren Occult Museum, she's more than just a relic. She's a symbol of the uneasy line between reality and legend. Decades have passed since Donna and Angie first encountered the strange phenomena in their apartment, but the questions remain. Was Annabelle truly haunted? Or did the fear and suggestion create a self-fulfilling prophecy? The debate continues, fueled by skeptics who see the case as a clever fabrication and believers who point to the chilling details that refuse to be explained away. What's undeniable is the impact Annabelle has had on the collective imagination. Her story has inspired films, books, and countless retellings, each one adding another layer to the legend. The destruction of a movie replica in Brazil in 2024 only reinforced her status as a modern icon of horror. Whether she's a warning about the dangers of curiosity or a reminder of how easily fear can spread, the real Annabelle doll endures. She remains locked away, silent and unmoving, but her legend continues to grow, feeding off the very curiosity and dread that first brought her to life. Annabelle urban legend, paranormal folklore, Annabelle true story. Annabelle's legend stands as a testament to how a simple childhood toy can become a global symbol of fear. Decades after the first reports, the real Annabelle doll remains locked away, her presence both a warning and an invitation to question what we believe about the unknown. The story's endurance is rooted not just in the details of the supposed haunting, but in the way it taps into universal anxieties, the fear that evil can hide behind innocence, that the familiar can turn against us without warning. Each new documentary, news article, or social media post adds another layer to the myth, ensuring that Annabelle's stitched smile will haunt the edges of our imagination for years to come. The transformation of Annabelle from a simple Raggedy Ann to a cinematic icon of horror reflects the power of storytelling in shaping cultural memory. Whether the events described by the Warrens were real or carefully constructed, the story has become a fixture in the modern folklore of the paranormal. The destruction of a movie replica in Brazil in 2024 only added fuel to the legend, as if Annabelle's curse could reach beyond the glass case and into the real world. The real Annabelle doll, silent and unmoving, remains at the center of this web of fear, proof that sometimes the most unsettling stories are the ones we keep telling ourselves, long after the lights go out. The real Annabelle doll's story endures because it sits perfectly on the fault line between belief and skepticism. For every person convinced that the events in Donna and Angie's apartment were the result of something supernatural, there's a skeptic who sees only coincidence, suggestion, or even a carefully crafted hoax. The Warren Occult Museum, where Annabelle remains locked away, has been described by some as a house of curiosities and by others as a shrine to the unexplained. The debates continue in podcasts, articles, and online forums, with each new generation drawn to the legend for their own reasons, some seeking proof, others simply looking for a good scare. In the end, Annabelle's power lies not in what she is, but in what she represents. She is a reminder that fear is universal, that stories can shape reality, and that the line between entertainment and belief is often thinner than we'd like to admit. Whether she's truly haunted or just a product of folklore and imagination, the real Annabelle doll has become a modern icon of horror, a silent figure behind glass, her stitched smile daring us to look away. As long as people fear the unknown, her legend will continue to grow, whispering from the dark corners of our collective memory. Even now, the real Annabelle doll remains sealed behind glass, her stitched smile unchanged as decades pass. Visitors to the Warren Occult Museum still pause before her case, some out of curiosity, others with genuine apprehension. The warning: do not touch is more than just a museum rule. It's a line drawn between the ordinary and the unknown. For some, Annabelle is nothing more than a relic of a well-crafted ghost story. For others, she's a silent reminder that evil can wear the most innocent face. The debate over her true nature, haunted object or urban legend, shows no sign of ending. What's certain is that Annabelle's story has become a fixture in modern folklore, a tale that endures because it speaks to something universal: our fear of the unknown and the power of belief. The real Annabelle doll, unmoving and silent, continues to inspire new stories, films, and debates. She is proof that sometimes the scariest legends are the ones we keep alive ourselves, passed from one generation to the next, growing with each retelling. Whether you believe in her curse or see only a faded toy behind glass, Annabelle's legend lingers, daring you to wonder what might be waiting in the dark. Annabelle's story lingers in the collective imagination, a chilling reminder that the most unsettling legends are often those rooted in the ordinary. Decades after Donna and Angie's first encounter, the real Annabelle doll remains locked away, her faded fabric and stitched smile untouched by time. The debates about her true nature, whether she's a vessel for something dark or simply the centerpiece of a well-crafted urban legend, show no sign of fading. Each new documentary, news article, or viral social media post ensures that the legend continues to grow, adapting to the fears and curiosities of each new generation. In the end, the real Annabelle doll stands as a symbol of the thin line between folklore, superstition, and entertainment. Whether you see her as a haunted object or just a relic of a powerful story, her presence behind glass is a quiet challenge to our sense of certainty. She dares us to question what we believe about evil, innocence, and the unknown. As long as people are drawn to the mysteries that lurk in the shadows, Annabelle's legend will endure, silent, unsettling, and impossible to ignore. And now, after everything you've heard, I have to ask, do you believe Annabelle is truly haunted? Or is her legend just a reflection of our deepest fears? Would you dare to stand face to face with the real doll? Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments. I want to know what you think and if you've ever encountered something you couldn't explain. If you enjoyed this story and want to keep exploring the world's darkest mysteries, make sure you're subscribed and have notifications turned on. That's the only way to guarantee you won't miss the next video, each one more chilling and mind-bending than the last. Don't forget to check out the recommended video on your screen right now for another true story that will keep you up at night. Thanks for watching. I'm Jack. See you in the next one.